Hello internets, and welcome to another Pokemon X and Y Wi-Fi battle. You can call me 12-Pack, and the battle I have for you today is against someone whose name is spelled like Ahmed, but I believe the proper pronunciation for that name is Ahmed. So, a little bit of history behind this battle. I was browsing passerbys to find someone actually experienced enough to look like they were worth battling. I came across this guy, and his little player portrait makes him look sort of like a scrub, so I was like, well, better check his stats. And holy crap, he had almost 1,000 hours played and over 1,000 link battles, which is like triple what I have. So I was like, holy shit, this guy must know what he's doing. So I immediately challenged him to a battle, and he accepted. And because he has an extremely cool team, I stayed in and played him, and it was well worth it, believe me. So, let's jump into team preview here quickly. I am using my usual Shuckle lead. I know I use Shuckle a lot, but honestly, he is like critical to the way I like to play Pokemon. I like to use really slow, hard-hitting pokes, and having a Sticky Webber and Hazard Setter together is just so ideal for me. Like, I have to bring him. I don't even really like him that much. He's a fucking derp-ass worm in a rock. But he's really good, so that's why I bring him. This one's a physically defensive one. So next up, we've got my Magmortar here. This is a Life Orb substitute Magmortar. Hits really hard, but is very fragile, goes down quite easily. Next up, we have my Fearow, which actually dumps this game. This is the first time I've used him in a competitive battle, and he does not disappoint. He's kind of a pivot to pick off wounded pokes and then allow something to switch in with U-turn, but he's also carrying Drill Run and Drill Peck and Roost, as well as the Sniper ability and a Razor Claw to get those increased critical hits. Next to my Fearow, we have my Rest Talk Malamar. This thing is pretty beast, as I say in another video, but he actually doesn't really do a whole lot this game, although I thought he was going to. He had the perfect opportunity, but the Hacks gods were not with me, sadly. So next to my Malamar, we have my standard Cleric Audino. If you know or watch any of my videos, I usually use this thing as my healer, and you should be familiar with its abilities. And then finally on the team, we have MVP number 2, or possibly number 1, Gourgeist-Super, which is rapidly becoming my favorite ghost Pokemon. This thing is just stupidly good. I don't know how it's not in a higher tier. It's ridiculous. It just does not die. This thing goes through the equivalent of losing its health like 3 times over this match and somehow fucking survives. It's unreal, dude. So, like, stay tuned for it. So my opponent's team. Uh, at first glance, when I saw that Haxorus, I was like, oh boy, this guy's going to be just one of those OU scriblets. But his team's actually pretty cool further down the way. So, Haxorus, very dangerous Pokemon. You do not want to fuck around with this thing. It's quite fragile, so if you can get a hit off, it should die pretty fast. However, its attack is just redonkulous, so it'll probably OKO pretty much anything you send against it, unless you are not properly prepared. So next to Frostless, we have a, or it's not Frostless, Haxorus, we have a, what the hell, Florges, sorry, yes, Florges. Now, I am really starting to hate this thing because seemingly everybody has one, and it pisses me off how it's pure fairy when it looks like a bouquet of flowers. It should be fairy grass, but it's not. So next to that, we have Charizard, one of 2 potential megas on my opponent's team, the other being Lucario, which we'll get to in a minute. Charizard by itself is not usually particularly threatening, despite being somewhat faster than average. But I wasn't too concerned about this thing. I was more concerned about Frostless. This is really cool that this guy is using him. I have never used one, and I've probably only seen 2 being used against me in Wi-Fi play. I know its abilities somewhat. It's obviously got the standard ghost stuff like Curse and Will-O-Wisp, but the added twist of carrying Ice-type attacks, which is very useful in the higher metagames. So next up there's Lucario, the other potential Mega. Even if this isn't his Mega, it's still very dangerous by itself, and it proves to be a huge pain in the balls this battle. And then lastly on the team we have Empoleon, which I was like, holy shit, this dude's running Empoleon. That's freaking awesome. Going into the battle, I was assuming that this would be his Hazard Setter, since this is what I use my Empoleon for. On mine I have Roar, Rocks, Scald, and Flash Cannon. But it turns out that isn't the case once we actually get going. So, I've talked for 5 minutes already, so without further ado, let's get right into this battle. And cue epic music.
Ahmed is issuing a challenge.
So he's going to lead off with his Empoleon, as I sort of suspected he would, and I saw no reason to not lead off with my Shuckle and possibly lock him into Stealth Rocks with Encore. But he actually goes for Hydro Pump on turn 1, which I was not expecting, so I was like, shit, is this like an offensive Empoleon? And the second turn he actually lands it, and it does a crap ton to me, so I'm like, wow, is this thing spexed or what? This is my physically defensive Shuckle, but still, that did like a crap ton. This thing must have some special attack investment, so I figured I'd better get my webs down as fast as possible because Shuckle's not going to last long against this kind of punishment, as he goes for a second Hydro Pump, landing it, and bringing me down to the red. So Shuckle is just about dead. I'm able to get up my rocks, and I'm going to switch out, wanting to keep him alive for a little bit longer, and bring in my Gourgeist to absorb that Hydro Pump, which he's still locked into thanks to Encore. So I actually frisk him there and see he has a zoom lens, so I was like, what the He's using zoom lens to get higher accuracy with Hydro Pump, I guess? That was kind of unique. I've never seen that before. So right here I dirt pretty hard, go for a Seed Bomb, which I was thinking in my head would be super effective, but it's not, because he's dual steel typing as well as water, so that was pretty much pointless. And it's going to cost me a turn of damage that is quite severe, since he gets a critical hit with the Flash Cannon, doing major damage to me, considering I am specially defensive. So this thing must be a pure special attacking Empoleon, because it's hitting way too hard. So I'm going to seed him there, get back a little bit of the HP I lost with my leftovers and Leech Seed here, bringing myself back up to the green at least. And I'm going to pull out with Gourgeist for now, realizing there's not really a whole hell of a lot I can do to this thing, and go into Malamar, hoping I can actually set up against this thing while I'm getting some health back from Leech Seed. So he's going to go straight for another Flash Cannon. Does somewhat heavy damage to me, but look at that. He got the Sped F drop with Flash Cannon, but since I'm contrary, it gave me the Sped F boost. I've never had that happen before, but it was awesome. So I'm like, oh boy, Malamar's getting set up to put in some fucking work now. He's at +1 Sped F, and I'm about to be at +1 defense as well from my superpower, which just absolutely annihilates Empoleon at it's about half health remaining. So I get the +1 attack and defense boost, and I'm like, alright, Malamar, it's time to frickin', wreck some face here. Get some health back with those leftovers. Almost at full. Let's go. So he brings in Florges, which I was obviously predicting to use Moonblast on me. As well, I was predicting it to be faster, so right here I decided to go for Rest, to see precisely how much damage I was going to be able to take from this thing, and whether I should switch out or not. And sure enough, he goes straight for a Moonblast, and he gets a fucking critical hit. I couldn't believe it. I was like, are you serious? That was like the best thing I could possibly have happen to Malamar to get set up, and he gets a freaking critical hit. That's so bullshit. And he actually gets a second Quick Claw in a row as well, and Toxics my Fearow. Right there, I was actually really worried he was going to hit me with Moonblast, but I couldn't really think of what else I could do against it at the time. I actually thought I'd lost at this point. I was like, oh boy. Without Malamar all boosted up like that, I'm really going to be in the hole, because the only other real attacker I have on the team is Magmortar for doing serious damage. So I'm going to bring in my Audino, Toxic this thing, even as it Toxics me. So we exchange heavy poison with one another here, and attempt to stall each other out. Now, I actually am carrying Heal Bell, so this isn't going to be a problem to me. And poisoning it will allow me to scout out whether he's actually carrying Heal Bell. But he goes for Wish this turn, so I was sort of suspecting he wanted to Wish Pass off to a switch in here, even as I go for my Heal Bell and get back my status, as well as my Fearows, which happened to be unfortunate enough to pick up a Toxic during a switch in. So, now it's going to just keep taking poison damage here. That happens a lot this game. So I go for a Wish as well, wanting to swap out into whatever he swaps into the Florges. And he doesn't actually swap out. He's using the Wish to heal himself, and he hits me with another Moonblast. So I get the special attack drop, which matters not a fig, since I don't actually even have any attacks other than Toxic, if you want to count that. And my wish, or sorry, my leftovers are going to heal me. His wish comes true. Takes a little bit more toxic damage, gradually racking up. So I'm like, why hasn't he used aromatherapy or heal bell yet? Could it be that he's not actually carrying them on that thing? He doesn't seem to be a special attacker because he's not doing much damage to me. But what kind of utility floor just doesn't have any of those two moves? But here, I was like, oh fuck. He swapped into Lucario as I went for Protect, and I'm like, oh man, it's going to have a free turn to set up, and it's going to like steamroll through my team. I'm done here. Like, it's over. This thing's just going to shit on me. So I derped pretty hard there. I was trying to scout out if it was going to go straight for close combat, I guess, but he goes for Swords Dance, which pretty much seals my fate as far as I was concerned. I was like, oh god. Well, I'm just going to pray that Gourgeist can take an attack from this thing if he goes for E-Speed or close combat. And it turns out he does actually go for close combat, so I was like, yes, thank you. So I get another free turn of Leftovers Recovery, bringing me back to almost 110 HP. And he's going to actually withdraw right away, which I thought was kind of curious, going into his Charizard, which was actually a really good play because I had gone for Will-O-Wisp, hoping to cripple that Lucario, and he predicted that 100% correctly, blocking it with his Charizard. So now I'm going to be forced to switch as well, since Gourgeist obviously cannot stay in against a super effective fire attack. So I'm going to bring in Magmortar, hoping that he can take whatever attack this thing chooses to go for. Charizard without Mega Evolving isn't particularly threatening, but he does about 60 damage to me with a resisted hit, which was actually pretty impressive. And he's outspeeding me on the following turn, hitting me again. Magmortar's down to 27 health, but I'm going to fire back with a Thunderbolt and obliterate Charizard since he was only at half health from the rocks, which probably wouldn't even have mattered because Magmortar's beastly. However, now I'm pretty much screwed since I only have 12 health left after the Life Orb recoil. So he's going to bring in Lucario, doubtlessly going to pick me off with E-Speed or something, but I thought he might go for Swords Dance, and if he does, means I can take him out with Fire Blast, so I left Magmortar in. However, he wasn't greedy enough to do that and just went for the safe play and E-Speeded me. So I'm going to bring back in Gourgeist here and check this thing once again, hoping to get the burn off on it, and also to find out what its third move is, since he's shown me as close combat and extreme speed, but I don't know whether or not his third attack can really damage my Gourgeist. And unfortunately here, I was predicting him to switch, but not into Haxorus, so I actually went for Leech Seed instead of Will-O-Wisp, and this is going to cost me a lot of health. I do get some back with leftovers and obviously the seeds, but basically, even if I switch out, whatever I bring in is going to take a huge hit from this thing, whatever it is, or whatever it chooses to use, rather. I'm almost at full health, but he drops an Outrage, and I'm like, oh Jesus, please live, come on, live, and he survives with 6 HP like a boss. Come on, Gourgeist, giddy up. So, I am able to get off the Will-O-Wisp, surviving just barely on 6 HP, and getting a little bit of health back with those lefties and Leech Seed. So, now I'm going to be wanting to get the hell out of here, since Gourgeist still needs to be around in order to burn Lucario further down the road if I don't want him to completely wreck my team. So, I need to swap something in that can take an Outrage, which sadly is going to be my Shuckles, just to get off an extra turn of burn damage, basically. And I was not seeing much use for Shuckle anymore anyway, so he's just death fodder. So, see you later, useless. You kinda actually weren't all that useful this game. Although, you did do the hazards I needed you to. So, he gets confused due to fatigue, which is actually quite excellent because now hopefully I can dodge an attack and have him die. Right here I was praying he wasn't Specked, so I'm going to go for Drill Peck, and turns out he was, or not Specked, sorry, Scarfed. And he actually wasn't, and I'm able to knock him out with the Drill Peck outspeeding him. So now, Florges comes back in, and Fearow is not really going to appreciate a Moonblast from this thing. So I'm going to U-turn out of there immediately, and if that thing was dual grass type, like it looks like it should be, that would be super effective, but it's not. And I'm going to go straight into my Audino once again, which is the best check I have for this thing. And he's going to just hit me with a Moonblast, as I sort of suspected he might, which is not actually going to do a whole lot to me. yet again, and I do get the other special attack drop, but who cares? Once again. And now he is going to be taking some more poison damage, gradually getting worn down. He mustn't have any status healing moves because surely he would have used it by now if he did, and his Quick Claw lets him go first to fire off another Moonblast. And that actually brings me down to the orange this time, or yellow, whatever you want to call it, and I'm able to get off a Wish to hopefully pass off to my Gourgeist here, I think was my intention anyway. He's gradually going down to Toxic, yeah. So he actually switches out here. I guess I'm not actually, sorry, I'm drawing a blank here as to what I do. Do I switch out too, or am I dumb enough to stay in? And lo and behold, I'm dumb enough to stay in. So I do use the Protect that fails, and I get all my health back, but it doesn't really help me because now he's going to get another free turn to set up his goddamn Swords Dances. And right here I was like, okay, I just lost. Like, I can't do anything now. He's going to pick off my Gourgeist, who has like 6 fucking HP, and Audino will get close combat and go down in one shot, and my Fearow won't stand a chance to E-Speed, so Gourgeist is going to come in. I'm like praying to God that I can live through whatever attack he fires off. And he goes for another Swords Dance. What the fuck? He could have just destroyed me right there if he'd attacked. But I'm able to get that Wish off and get back to almost full HP. So I was praising like the poker gods right there. I was like, thank you so much. And he shows me his third attack, and it's Earthquake. So I was like, yes, I resist that. I'm going to be able to live multiple hits, get off a burn on this thing, and hopefully be able to stall it out. It's still up for debate whether I'll be able to or not, but I'm praying that I can. Getting health back from the leftovers. Now the next step is to set up Leech Seed, I believe, and his successive Earthquake does almost nothing thanks to being burned, so I am able to get up those seeds, get some even more health back. So Gourgeist just recovered like triple his HP this game. It's just ridiculous. Ridiculously hard to kill. So, yeah, I'm getting back to just about the same amount of HP as I was when he attacked me last turn. But unfortunately, I've completely forgot about this giant frickin' threat. Okay, never mind. That happens in a little bit. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So he brings back in Florges, obviously for Moonblast, so I'm not going to stay in, risk getting KO'd to that thing like Malamar did. So I'm going to bring back in Fearow? Oh, I see. This is the same turn. I was predicting him to go for another Earthquake, so I switched to Fearow in order to dodge the Earthquake and get an extra turn of burn damage. And I wind up catching the Florges on its own switch in, taking it down with the Drill Peck. So that's that fucking annoying thing out of the way, finally. But I forgot about this thing, the Frostless, so I was like, oh shit, now this thing has super effective damage against both my Fearow and Gourgeist, so I'm like, okay, well, hopefully I'm faster and I can get the hell out of there with U-turn, and turns out I am after the webs, so I do not a whole lot of damage, but I'm able to pull out into my Audino, which is really the only check I have to this thing, and the only hope I have is to Toxic Stall it out, as it does go for the Ice Attack, which would have been fatal to anything else that I had switched in other than Audino. So, this turn I actually believe I go for Wish, hoping to pass it off to something else, predicting him to switch. And turns out, yes, he does actually go back into Lucario. I was figuring he would want to in order to get the free turn to set up against me again. So using Toxic would have been pointless. So now, because of that, I'm able to get off the Wish, and now I can switch to my Gourgeist and get yet another Wish Pass off on that fucker. So, pull out with Audino, bring in Gourgeist, and absorb any sort of attack he wants to throw at me. Let's see, does he actually go for a Swords Dance again here? Yes, he does. So this guy is bound and determined to set up before he attacks, which I don't blame him for, because he is burned and his attack's going to be garbage otherwise. But the wish comes true, and I get back to full health, so tough luck, dude. Only thing you got to check me now is your Frostless, and you're running out of time. So he has about 1 or 2 turns left to survive, goes for the Earthquake. Gourgeist is just going to be like, that tickled, lol, not even feel that. go for the Leech Seed and wear him down even faster, as well as recovering all the damage that he just did to me. So this is a pretty stally battle, I must admit, but all of my strong attackers got wiped out early in the game, and this was the only way I could still win. And yeah, this turn he's gonna die from. Oh wait, no, nope, sorry, he lives one more turn. So I was predicting another Earthquake this turn, since that's basically all I knew he would do. So I dodge it with Fearow, and he takes the burn damage, or sorry, the seed damage, and gets KO'd. So now that's going to enable my Fearow to be matched up against that Frostless one more time, and hopefully OKO it after the rocks damage here. So he does get the speed drop again. I know that I'm faster than it, so I'm like praying I can do enough damage, because Fearow's attack isn't great, but I miss with Drill Run, what the fuck? Oh, and he hits me with Thunderbolt. I'm like, oh god, I just lost. What? No way! I live with 17 health with Fearow. Fire back with the Drill Run, hit this time, KO the Frostless, and that's game. 3-0 me, but honestly that was so close it felt like I lost that match like 3 times during the course of it. That was a 40-turn game, I'll also add. So, great game, Ahmed. I really, really enjoyed that one. Thank you for not leaving when things got a little bit tough. And keep using those cool pokes. I really enjoyed battling against some of them. As for my own team, Gourgeist, man, I don't know how he's not in a higher tier. He's stupidly good. If you haven't tried him, use him. As well as Fearow, he can definitely pull his weight as well if given the right opportunity. And as for Malamar getting wrecked, well, I just seem to have super bad luck with him. Every time it seems like he's going to get the chance to do some serious damage, he just gets fucked over by the Hax gods. But maybe next time, Malamar, maybe next time. You're still really cool. So, thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. And with that, I'll see you next time. Bye for now.